This video lesson is about research basics and the importance of digital citizenship. When we talk about doing research, our goal is to build knowledge that we have about a topic. It involves investigating, searching, and studying in order to establish facts and to draw our own conclusions. When we do research, we look for sources that will help us. These can be either print or digital text sources that we use to gather information about a topic. An important tool that we need is a search tool. A search tool is any resource that's going to help us find information. When we're talking about print sources, an index is a great search tool. A table of contents can also be used as a search tool. If we're going digital, we'll often use a search engine on the internet to help us. Reference material then includes documents, files, text, or intellectual property that is consulted in order to provide information on a subject. Intellectual property is something such as an idea, an invention, or a process that comes from a person's mind. Now, it's great to take the ideas of others, and it's always important, however, to give those individuals credit. In this case, I copied this definition directly from a source online. I noted that I retrieved it from this website and on the date I retrieved it from. This becomes very important to do when you're citing sources from the internet. If you say when you retrieve it from, we know that the link was at least once active and when it was. Sometimes links can be broken or disabled, and so it's always important to note when you find information. Now let's move on to multimedia elements. These are different types of media used to enhance a text, such as sound, motion, or images. This is what we see when we access digital text. Here's an excellent example of a multimedia element that I came across in searching for some great articles. This is from the Time for Kids website, and the article was published in February of 2014 about the International Toy Fair. It's a great article, but what really enhances this article is this multimedia element, where I've got a video that tells more about the fair. I can click on the video.
Welcome to Toy Fair.
I can enlarge my screen.
Hundreds of thousands of new toys were on display in New York City for the 111th American International Toy Fair. Each year, toy companies and toy buyers from around the world visit the fair in a treasure hunt to find the coolest new toys. Adrian Appel is a...
So what's great about this interactive element is that it allows me to dive more into the topic with that sound, motion, and images. And that's what multimedia elements are all about. One of the important things to note when you're working with a video clip is the idea of a scrub bar or scrubber bar. I found this great information about what a scrub bar is. It's what you use when you're reviewing or editing a video. You move the bar along the playback line down here at the bottom to indicate where you want the video to begin. I often use the idea of a scrub bar when I'm noting particular information at a specific point in a video. Down here you can see the minutes into the video that you are and the total amount of time in the video clip. If I want to note where the dollhouse is in the video, I can say it's approximately at 1 minute and 13 seconds into the video. I can note that classics are at approximately 1 minute and 34 seconds. So it's just a great way to log where content is as you go. Now, I'd like to stress the importance of relying on diversity in the media that you use when you're doing research. More than one type of text source is very important. You want a combination of print and digital sources so that you can get the most reliable information that you can. Too often we want to jump on the internet and just find everything we can because search engines do make things easier for us. However, here is an example of what I did when I wanted to learn more about Ernest Shackleton and the adventure of the Endurance. It was when Ernest Shackleton went on his Antarctic expedition. And so I had all of these great books that I was able to rely on for information. However, it was important to me to also get some more of that multimedia. And so I was able to locate some great information on some video clips about the adventure.
In the long night of the Antarctic winter, a photographer's flash illuminates a haunting sight. The year is 1915, and a British ship, the Endurance, is trapped in a vast sea of ice. The rare photographic images record for the ages an extraordinary true-life drama.
So even though many of these images were in my print sources, I got a lot of great detail that I could read from the print sources, but then these images gave me sound and some motion and the integration of some great images. Now, of course, this video wasn't just about the pictures. It included a lot of other elements, such as real-life shots.
Surrounded by immense ice floes, gripped by perpetual cold, no place on Earth is more hostile to life than Antarctica.
And so when you're doing a search, don't discount diverse media. Use more than one type of text source. Another important thing to note when you're doing research is how an audio recording can definitely enhance what you're learning more about or what you're interested in. I'd like to show you an example of an audio recording from the book Jumanji. Listen to how the narration enhances the overall experience.
Buildings and towers. Peter began to shake the dice and play with the other pieces that were in the box. Put those down and listen, said Judy. I'm going to read the instructions. Jumanji, a young people's jungle adventure especially designed for the bored and restless. A. Player selects piece and places it in deepest jungle. B. Player rolls dice and moves piece along path through the dangers of the jungle. C. First player to reach Jumanji and yell the city's name aloud is the winner. Is that all? Asked Peter, sounding disappointed. No, said Judy. There's one more thing, and this is in capital letters. D. Very important. Once a game of Jumanji is started, it will not be over until one player reaches the Golden City. Oh, big deal, said Peter, who gave a bored yawn. Here, said Judy, handing her brother the dice. You go first. Peter casually dropped the dice from his hand. 7, said Judy. Peter moved his piece to the 7th square. Lion attacks, move back 2 spaces, read Judy. Gosh, how exciting, said Peter in a very unexcited voice.
So an audio recording can very much enhance the experience that we have with the text. Animation can do that as well. It's the act of putting life or movement into a graphic image for entertainment. Here's a piece from a book trailer called It's a Book.
Well, can it tweet? No. Can it text? Can it Wi-Fi? Does it need a password? No. Can it do this? No.
Ironically, this video is about how enjoyable an actual physical book is. But you can see how animation greatly enhances the experience. Now I'm going to move on to the ideas of hyperlinks and sidebars. This is a sample from one of my favorite texts, Snowflake Bentley. Snowflake Bentley writes the story here, but then the author also uses sidebars to give us additional information. This information enhances or complements the text. But when I go back to a sidebar on a web page, they help me find hyperlinks that I need. That article about the toy fair, I need to use the links here on the side to get me to where I need to go. I remember that it was written in February of 2014. And of course I get lots of articles that come up, and because I saved where I retrieved it from and when I retrieved it, I knew that the article was written on February 21st. This helped me go directly to where I needed to go. Now here it is. A hyperlink on a web page often becomes bolder, underlined, perhaps it changes colors, or your cursor might give you some kind of indication that it is a hyperlink so that when you click on it, it's going to direct you right to the content that you're looking for. Now when you're using a hyperlink, sometimes you will navigate to an area that you weren't intending. That's when you need to go back up and use your back arrows to get you back to the page that you started from. And so that's why hyperlinks are very useful and helpful. I want to move on to digital citizenship, because if we're talking about accessing information on the internet, we need to know what's going on when we enter the digital community. A citizen is someone who's part of a collective group, and they share in rights and responsibilities of others. So when you're being a citizen of the world's digital community, you have a big responsibility. In order to be the best digital citizen that you can, it's important that you understand all aspects of digital citizenship, because when you go online, you are connecting yourself to everyone else in the world with that internet access, and you join the digital community. It's very important that you know how acceptable behavior works and how to act when you go online. Here are some of the elements of digital citizenship. It starts with being digital literate, or having digital literacy. Learning how to use technology and learning about technology. The more that you learn, the more digitally literate you become. Digital access means you're able to participate electronically. And if you think about the ways that you're able to participate, or the ways you're able to connect, I think that you'll realize not everyone does have equal access. For some people, they may only be able to connect at school. Some people may be able to connect with Wi-Fi connections when they go places. Others may have cell phones with different types of connections there. Digital commerce is something that children do not engage in, but it's important to know what it is. It is that buying and selling of goods and services electronically. It's great for us to have access to this, but we have to remember as adults to use so safely. When something's just a click away, we have to be very responsible. Digital communication is extremely important for children. This is where we're exchanging information electronically, and we have to know that anything and everything we share becomes visible to the world in some way. Even if we delete it, it still exists on a server somewhere. Keep this in mind with anything you put on. This takes us to the idea of digital law, digital etiquette, and digital rights and responsibilities. When we think about laws, we have to respect them when we go online. When you do research, this is important because you will be pulling information from the internet from another source. You have to always remember to give credit to the source that you're taking information from. Even if you cut and paste, you need to note that you cut and pasted information from a particular source. Again, this is done by using the words retrieved from and on the date that you retrieved it. This is our digital etiquette. It's our standards of behavior in a digital situation. We have to act appropriately and acceptable. If we're taking information, we want to respect another person's rights. If we're saying something or making a comment, we want to remember that it's not only there for all time, but it's visible to others. Remember the rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you? That's digital etiquette. Remembering our rights and responsibilities also connects to this. You expect others to treat you in a certain way. Do that to them as well. And do remember the idea of intellectual property. If you've got a great idea and you share it with the world, you want credit for it. It's great that someone else thinks your idea is fabulous and they want to use it. Digital health and wellness. This is where you need to consider your physical well-being and keep a balance in your life. Make sure you monitor the amount of time you spend plugged in. Finally, security. Protect yourself. Never, ever give out information that can identify who you are and where you are from. Always use first names only and no more than a last initial. Or even better, use a nickname. Now, as we move forward with doing some research and using digital sources, this is a list of internet tips for you to help you with your searching. Take time to note some of these tips because it will save you a lot of time later. And then finally, watch out for worries on the web. Anyone can put something on the internet, so just because you find it, it doesn't mean it's true or it can be trusted. If you find a site, look for who wrote the info. Often at the bottom you'll get the information. .gov and .org sites are generally good sources. Check when it was written. Chances are if it's old, it might be out-of-date information or it's not been updated. Did the author of the site cite other sources? That makes it a little more reliable if they are basing their work on the work of others. And then finally, what is it about this site that makes you think that the author or the website developer is an expert? And then finally, because you are citing your information, you're giving credit to your sources. It's important to note some bibliography basics. A bibliography is a page that lists in ABC order all of the resources that you used. It's extremely important to cite your sources because you don't want to plagiarize. When you copy information without citing it and giving credit to the author, that's the same as stealing. You're stealing that person's intellectual property. It's also important to note all of this information because if you need to go back and check something in your source, you know exactly how to find it again. Here's a standard way to cite a book, cite an author, and cite a website. Do remember when you cite a website that you're saying when you retrieved it. You may not always have an author's name, but you do the best to gather as much of this information as you can. And then later, you can build it into your bibliography.